Flying gets more challenging as we age. The long security lines, the cramped seats, the endless announcements that sound like they're spoken underwater. It's enough to make anyone dread travel days. And let's be honest, once you pass 60, it can feel like airlines have designed the entire experience without you in mind. The seats keep shrinking, the fees keep piling up, and every year it feels like travel becomes more of an obstacle course. But here's the big secret most people don't know. Flying after 60 doesn't have to be harder. In fact, it can actually be easier and cheaper. Why? Because airlines, airports, and travel companies quietly offer senior perks that they rarely advertise. They're there. You just need to know how to ask for them. So, if you've ever felt stressed out by flying, or you'd love to make your next trip simpler and more affordable, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. That way, you'll always be first in line for insider travel tips, and you'll help this video reach other travelers over 60 who could really use the advice. All right, let's dive in. Here are 9 hidden perks of flying after 60, and how you can start using them today. 1. Senior flight discounts that aren't publicized. Most people assume senior discounts disappeared years ago. And it's true, airlines no longer plaster giant senior sale banners on their websites. But here's the thing. Some senior fares still exist. Take United Airlines. They offer a specific senior fare, but you'll never see it on Expedia, Kayak, or Google Flights. The only way to find it is to book directly on their website and check the little box that says seniors. That tiny step can save you 5 to 10% on your ticket. Now, maybe that doesn't sound like much, but let's put it into perspective. Imagine you're flying round trip from New York to Rome, and your ticket costs $1,200. Checking that seniors box could save you $120. That's enough for a nice dinner in Italy, a gondola ride in Venice, or a guided walking tour of the Colosseum. And here's another tip. Always call the airline directly to ask if they have unpublished senior fares. Sometimes, especially with regional carriers, those deals exist, but they're only available by phone. Story example. A retired couple from Texas discovered this when booking flights to Hawaii. Expedia showed the cheapest tickets at $820 each. But after calling the airline directly and asking about senior fares, they got their seats for $740 each. That's $160 saved, which they use for an extra night at their resort. Moral of the story? Don't assume the big booking sites are giving you the best deal. If you're flying after 60, always check with the airline directly. 2. Flexible booking and change policies. Here's the thing about life after 60. It doesn't always run on schedule. Maybe your grandchild's graduation gets moved, maybe your doctor reschedules an appointment, or maybe you just don't feel up to traveling that week. For most travelers, changing a flight means fees, penalties, and frustration. But for seniors, there's often more flexibility than meets the eye. Many airlines quietly reduce or even waive change fees if you're over 60 or 65. They won't promote this on their website, but if you call customer service and politely ask, you might be surprised at how accommodating they are. For example, one traveler over 65 booked a flight to Denver but needed to push it back a week. Normally, the change fee would have been $200 plus the fare difference. But after explaining he was a senior, the agent waived the fee entirely and simply rebooked him. The takeaway? If you're flying after 60 and something comes up, don't assume you're stuck. Call the airline and ask. Even if they can't waive the fee completely, they may find a workaround, like offering you a credit for future travel instead. 3. Early boarding without paying extra. Raise your hand if you've ever been stuck in the middle or back of the boarding line, squeezed between impatient travelers, and struggled to get your bag overhead before the bin's filled up. Now, here's the good news. If you're flying after 60, you don't always have to deal with that. Southwest Airlines openly offers pre-boarding for seniors, and many other airlines will do the same if you ask at the gate. You don't need a medical condition or a doctor's note. A simple, polite request like, "I'd like to request pre-boarding for comfort," is often enough. And it makes a huge difference. Boarding early means you have extra time to settle in, find space for your carry-on, and get comfortable without feeling rushed. Story example. A woman in her 70s shared that pre-boarding was the difference between a stressful experience and an enjoyable one. Before, she'd feel panic trying to lift her suitcase while people waited behind her. After she learned about senior pre-boarding, she boarded calmly, stored her bag with help from a flight attendant, and actually started her flight relaxed. Flying after 60 is all about removing unnecessary stress, and early boarding is one of the easiest ways to do that. 4. Mobility assistance and special seating. Here's a perk most people don't realize. Airlines are required by law to provide mobility assistance, and it's free. That means you can request wheelchair escorts from check-in to your gate, shorter lines at TSA security through special assistance lanes, help with your carry-on bag if you can't lift it overhead, airport carts to get you across long terminals. And it doesn't stop there. You can also request special seating closer to the front, in an aisle seat, or with extra legroom. Many times, airlines will assign these without any extra cost. Story example. A 68-year-old man flying cross-country used to dread airports because of long walks between gates. Then he discovered he could request an airport cart at the time of booking. Instead of walking half a mile to his connection, he was comfortably driven straight to the gate. He said it was the first time he arrived at his destination without feeling exhausted. The key here is planning ahead. Don't wait until you're at the airport. Call the airline in advance, explain your needs, and they'll make sure the assistance is waiting for you. Flying after 60 doesn't have to mean exhaustion. It can mean ease and comfort if you take advantage of what's available. 5. Senior travel clubs and membership discounts. One of the best-kept secrets for flying after 60 is membership-based discounts. You probably heard of AARP or AAA. But what many travelers don't realize is just how much money these memberships can save you on travel. For example, AARP members get discounts with American Airlines, British Airways, and others. They also save on hotels, cruises, car rentals, and even travel insurance. And here's the kicker. AARP starts at age 50. That means you don't have to wait until you're officially a senior to benefit. Example, one AARP member booked a flight to London and used her membership to save $65 on her ticket. She also saved 10% on her hotel. By the time her trip was done, she'd saved over $200, more than enough to cover her annual membership fee. AAA offers similar perks, especially with car rentals and hotels. Their travel division sometimes has exclusive deals you won't find anywhere else. Bottom line, if you're flying after 60 and not using AARP or AAA, you're leaving money on the table. 6. Companion fare discounts. Travel is more fun when shared, right? That's why companion fares are one of the most valuable perks of flying after 60. Some airlines allow a spouse, friend, or caregiver to fly at a reduced rate, or even nearly free, when traveling with a senior. For example, Alaska Airlines has a companion fare program, and while it's not always senior-specific, pairing it with senior discounts makes travel much cheaper. Other smaller regional airlines sometimes offer unpublished companion deals for seniors. Story example, a retired couple wanted to fly to Florida for the winter. The husband qualified for a senior discount, and the airline also offered a companion ticket for half price. Together, they saved over $300 on their round-trip flights. Always ask when booking, do you offer companion fares for senior travelers? Even if the answer is no, the agent might offer a promo code or unpublished deal. 7. Priority security screening. Everyone dreads TSA. The long lines, taking off shoes, pulling out laptops, liquids in tiny bags. It feels like running an obstacle course. But here's where flying after 60 starts to pay off. If you're 75 or older, TSA allows you to keep your shoes on, keep your light jacket on, sometimes even keep laptops and liquids in your bag. That alone makes the process faster and less stressful. Now, pair that with TSA PreCheck. For a one-time fee of $78, good for 5 years, you can breeze through security without removing shoes, belts, or laptops. And pre-check lines are usually 5 minutes or less. Story example. A 76-year-old traveler said TSA PreCheck was the single best investment he'd ever made in his travel life. He used to avoid flying because of the stress of security lines. Now, he glides through in minutes and actually looks forward to his trips. Flying after 60 doesn't have to mean long waits and hassle. With the right combination of age-based perks and pre-check, you can feel like a VIP. 8. Discounts on in-flight services. Here's a perk almost nobody knows about. Seniors sometimes get discounts on in-flight services. That could mean reduced prices on Wi-Fi, discounts on meals and drinks, occasional free seat upgrades, especially if the plane isn't full. Now, you won't find these deals on the seatback menu. The key is asking. Gate agents and flight attendants sometimes offer seniors better seats if they're available, simply because it makes the flights smoother for everyone. Story example. A couple in their 60s flying from Chicago to Los Angeles politely asked if any aisle seats were open. The gate agent not only moved them to an aisle row, but upgraded them to bulkhead seats with extra legroom at no cost. The lesson: be kind, ask politely, and you might just get an upgrade you weren't expecting. 9. Hidden travel insurance benefits. Finally, let's talk about peace of mind. Flying after 60 often means thinking more carefully about health, flexibility, and emergencies. That's where travel insurance comes in. But here's what many seniors don't realize. Some senior fares already include built-in protections. That might mean cancellation coverage, trip interruption benefits, or even emergency medical help abroad. For example, certain international carriers automatically bundle insurance with senior tickets. And if you're an AARP or AAA member, their travel insurance partners usually offer cheaper rates than what you'll find elsewhere. Story example. A 67-year-old traveler booked a senior fare to Spain and later discovered it came with $50,000 in emergency medical coverage. When he needed urgent care for a minor accident, his costs were completely covered, something that would have been a huge financial burden otherwise. So always read the fine print. You might already be protected without paying extra. So there you have it. 9 hidden perks of flying after 60. From senior fares and companion tickets to early boarding, mobility assistance, and even surprise upgrades, there are countless ways to make air travel easier, cheaper, and more enjoyable once you know where to look. Flying after 60 doesn't have to mean struggling with long lines, cramped seats, or endless fees. With the right knowledge, you can save money, skip stress, and actually enjoy the journey again. If you found this video helpful, give a thumbs up so more travelers see it. Subscribe for more insider travel tips, and share this with a friend or family member who's over 60 and loves to travel. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next video.